One of our main goals with Houzz Pro is to drive transparency with your client and make sure that you have a centralized resource where your client can access everything that you've sent them across the whole project. Of course, it can get messy between phone calls, emails, text messages, different documents, different systems. So what I'm specifically going to go into is the client collaboration element of your project, specifically starting with your client dashboard. And I know that this is something that Helena had alluded to. Risa, can you just confirm you can see my Houzz Pro Manage Cohen's Kitchen Remodel? Perfect. Thank you. As I'm in the project that Helena was just now working on, in any of our projects that you see, you're going to have access to share a client dashboard with your client. And I want to walk you through that experience. I want to show you what they see. And I also want to show you how you can specify more detailed on the document level, which documents they have access to and which they do not, which you want to hide from the dashboard and which you want to show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my kitchen's remodel right now. And over here in the top right corner, you're going to see this Share Client Dashboard button. This Share Client Dashboard will give you the ability to proactively share a dashboard with your client via email or via a dedicated link. Now, my encouraging to you is to share this at the beginning of your project. As soon as that lead becomes a project, go ahead and send them to this and say, bookmark this link for you to access at any point during the project. This is where they'll be able to communicate with you, if not through their email. This is where they'll be able to access any of the financial documents that you've sent and any of the attachments that have been shared throughout the course of your project. So by simply clicking on Share Client Dashboard, you'll see over here a preview of what the client actually sees. This is what their dashboard looks like. It's branded with your logo. It has send message front and center. That, of course, is referring to you. And then it also has the project address. Now, on the top right corner over here, for those of you that have used Google Docs or Google Drive, you'll know and see that you have the ability to send this client dashboard via email or with a dedicated link, just like you could do for any Google Docs that you're sharing. So if, for example, you're sending them a letter of agreement and a couple different documents over email, you can always click on link, and then you'll see that the link sharing is on, and you can simply copy this link and include it in an email. That link is an encrypted link. It's specific to this project, and it is available for your client to access just by going to that link. If you want to send them an email introduction specifically for this client dashboard, irrespective of any other documentation that you're sending them, you can always send it to them. I'm going to send it to my personal email here. Excuse me. If I can spell Gmail. You'll see the subject, and then I could say, hi, Sivan, this is where you can access your project details at any time. Again, as Gilly had mentioned earlier on, anytime you're sending something to your client, this isn't an email system per se. I would always recommend send a copy to yourself so that you have a record of what is sent to your client in your inbox, and then go ahead and send it off. And I want to show you what it looks like on the client's end. So I believe I'm logged in here. Let me just refresh my Gmail account, and it should take just a moment here to load in. But right over here, I see it's coming from Q&N Renovation Co. And it says your project dashboard. That is the subject line that I selected. You'll see my logo and then the message that I sent to my client. I encourage you as well, by the way, if you're going to take away anything here, feel free to play around with the system, get a feel for it, send it to yourself, send it to your partner, send it to your admin as the client so that you can understand exactly what the client experience is. But you'll see it over here. And I believe one of our pros had asked earlier if this comes from, Nate had asked earlier if this comes from Houzz or the personal email. It does come from Houzz, but it is branded with your company's information and company name. Now, when your client accesses this, I'm simply going to open this in a new, oh, you know what? If I open it in a new incognito window, because I'm logged in as the pro, it's going to show me the pros view right here to send it. but this is what it will look like on their end right over here. Okay.
Can the client download the app on their phone and get to it that way?
No, the Houzz Pro app is only for our professional community. Your client can access this on mobile. It is a link that they can access in their mobile browser, but it is not actually accessible via the app. The app is specifically for our professionals. Any other questions that you want to share? No other questions. Okay, cool. Cool. So let me go back into my project over here. So now that I'm in this project, I want to show you a couple of different things that you can, while we're talking about the client dashboard, what do they actually see? What is this concept of publishing and unpublishing? Well, the whole concept of what they see is only related to information that you share with them. This is super important for you to remember. I hear this concern from our professional community all the time. They say, it takes me 10 estimates to get that client-facing estimate ready. I totally hear that. You can create as many estimates as you want. Your client will only see the documents that you proactively send to them, okay? I want to repeat that. Your client will only see documents that you send to them. So what that means, you create an estimate, it's trash, the vendors got back to you, it's actually whatever it is, it's still in draft, no problem. Your client will never see that. However, the moment that you create an estimate and send them the estimate, it will be visible on the client dashboard. So here, I'm just going to create quickly a little planning estimate. Let me call this planning estimate. I'm going to set a due date. And I'm going to preview and share. And you'll see, once again, this is a repeat of what Helena did, but I simply want to reiterate that they will only see what you send them when you send it to them. So here I can detail what I want my client to see, show the markup breakdown or not, require an e-signature or not, and then send it to my client. Estimate for approval, please review, awesome. Send a copy to my email, best practice, and send it. Now, when I send that off, again, what is our expectation? Our expectation is that now, because we have proactively sent this document to our client, that it will now appear on my client dashboard. So if I go ahead and simply refresh, it's taking a moment here. Let me confirm and send. And I'll go back into my client dashboard here, refresh my page, and you'll see it right over here. Again, I'm previewing this as the client, or like I'm on the pro experience seeing what the client sees. They see my planning estimate in real time. Okay. Now what?
Really quick question. This is awesome. When a client hits reply to this email, does it go into, if I'm the pro, does it go into my email, or where does that reply go?
The reply goes into your email inbox. I'm not sure if Helena's still on here. I'm not sure if those get populated in the messages tab. I need to test that. Let me actually test that right now. All right, thank you. Love it. Cool. So I think Helena is, or actually my inbox is the one that is associated with this demo account. So I have my message sent. Let me go back into here. I just want to see if it comes into the message. Not sure 100%. No, okay. So it's gonna, let me check my email inbox just to make sure. And it should come into your email inbox. I will get back to you on that. But the best way here for you to see exactly what the client sees, once again, is seeing that preview. And I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to confirm that information about the reply. I actually don't know if it will go into the client, into the pro's inbox. I need to just double check that information. What I did want to talk about here is how you can unpublish items from the view. So just as you sent this document to your client to have on their dashboard, just as easily, you can also remove it from the dashboard view. So how do you do that? Well, let's go back into our estimate, and we'll see the planning estimate right over here. Now, there are two different ways that you can actually remove this from the view. The first is that you can archive it by simply selecting the estimate and archiving it. It's going to remove it from the dashboard automatically. However, another way that you can do that is by clicking into the estimate itself, which is loading right over here. And once it does, from that same options drop down in the top right-hand corner, you are also able to click on Hide from Dashboard, okay? Once I hide this from my dashboard, what this is essentially doing is this is going to remove it from my dashboard view. So let me go ahead and refresh, just make sure that that removed it. I'm going to go ahead back here, refresh it here, and you'll see that that planning estimate is no longer visible. Okay. So just as you sent it, anything that you sent is visible to the client. You also have the ability to unpublish items, hide items from the dashboard. And that same principle applies to anything that is shared. So I believe with your change orders, your payment requests / invoices, the same principle applies. Okay. Now let's look at a couple of different things here with the client dashboard as well. Once again, you see the messages that they could see. They see the open task, what is still outstanding, what they need to pay, and any attachments that were sent over the course of your collaboration with this client. When I click into the messages tab, they'll be able to see all the messages sent back and forth and even send you messages directly from here. They can also access all of their financial documents and those attachments. So any inspiration images, the letter of agreements that you send, they can all be accessed here in one centralized place. The same principle for attachments and hiding attachments applies just as we just went through with estimates. So let me show you that same concept of sharing something or having it shared and changing the visibility so that your client no longer actually sees it. So what I'm going to do is come over here into files. And when you're in your files, again, this is going to show you anything that you've uploaded to the project, anything that you've shared over messages with the client is going to be visible here under files, any attachments. So if I want to update the visibility of these attachments, I can simply click on the pencil button, and you'll notice over here that this is shared with my client. If you can follow along and expect how Houzz Pro will function here, you'll be able to see that you could change the visibility of this from shared to private. So if you have those before and after photos, if you have any anything that you wish to just keep in a consolidated, centralized area without sharing it with your client, you can simply change the visibility to private, save it, and once again, same concept will apply when I go back here into my attachments. That attachment is now hidden from view. Okay, cool. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and just in these last couple minutes, I know that we are reaching out on time, but again, I know that your brains are totally fried. I see the people dropping off. I just want to talk about the timeline. That's going to be the last thing that you that we go over here. Now, the timeline is a really cool feature that we are actually making additional functionality improvements on. So I'm going to show you it in its current state, and then I'm going to go into our staging environment and show you what's to come in about 3 to 4 weeks. So the timeline functionality is where you have the ability to communicate different stages with your client. Or if you want to keep these internal, that's also okay. This is totally up to you. So you'll see over here on project timeline, you have private, you have shared. Once again, private is internal only. By default, your timeline on your project is always private. If you ever wish to make it shared, you will have to proactively do so. Okay, so let me just go through a really quick walkthrough of how you can use the project timeline function. So first and foremost, you'll see some default stages over here on this project. I'm going to tailor them. I'm going to personalize it. So in order to do so, I'm simply going to click onto the stage and I'm going to create the first one. So the first one that I'm going to call is demolition. And I'm going to add the start date. So I can say it's from this next week, 5 working dates, and I can even select the color that I want to associate with it right over here. Now, you also have the ability, instead of actually editing this right over here, if you wish to, if you notice, for example, it falls on a weekend or you need to extend it through the weekend, you can always drag and drop to expand the stages. Now for these stages over here, let me go ahead and just quickly add some more details. I'm going to make this from the 30th to 16th, and really quickly, installation. If only all projects were this short, by the way. This is living in a fantasy land, I know. Let me just change this to the 24th and to the 30th. Perfect. Cool. So I have now this view, kind of like a Gantt chart of the timeline of the phases of this project. Now it's kind of hard for me to see just how widespread this is, right? So over here, you'll be able to see a couple different options. You can click fit, which will actually zoom out to show you all of the different stages that you have. And you can also then zoom in and zoom out. So if you really want to just go out, you'll want to zoom to the left, zoom in to the right. If you want to see today, you can simply click on today and it will automatically bring you back to today. Okay, it's kind of self-explanatory. It's really just a matter of the views. However, what's really cool that we recently introduced are dependencies. This is something that I hear from pros all the time of, hey, if demolition is pushed back or something changes, then guess what? Construction and installation are also changing too, right? How do you actually add those dependencies? Well, pretty easy. All you need to do is actually select the check marks over here. And now I'm going to click on demolition. Now, if I change demolition back by 3 days, oh, oops, I actually didn't move it properly. If I change it by 3 days, everything else is going to change accordingly as well. So I can also drag and drop it to actually move everything over, and it's only going to move over the connected items, the items that I've selected with the checkbox here. Okay, so you'll see that right over here. They're just all moving past. And if needed, you can always drag and drop to shift things around. Okay, I do see some chat questions coming in. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, Adam, you do have to select the items, the connected items, if you want to change them. So if I simply want to change all of the different stages or the construction stage, for example, I'll just select those two and move them over. Okay, cool. So now that we have our timeline updated, I'm simply going to go ahead and share this with my client. As you guys can expect, you guys are brilliant. You can expect that this is going to show on my client dashboard in real time. So I'm simply going to click on my client dashboard. And once again, you didn't see it before, you see it now, that timeline. It is now visible to my client because we opted to share it. They can do the same thing. They can click on fit, they could zoom in, they could zoom out. My screen is really weird because it is, it had that view, but this is what it will look like on their end. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but let me just show you real quick what is coming up, and then we'll answer any last minute questions. Again, I know your brains are fried. You guys are champions. You have been doing so amazing this whole time. So this is what it looks like right now. However, I'm going to go into our staging environment here. And when I click into our staging environment, one of the newest things that we're going to see is under the projects tab over here, you will also see a timeline function. So when you're in the projects tabs, then you're able to see all estimates across all your projects, all payment requests across all your projects, change orders, etc. The same principle is going to apply for your timeline. So while the timeline currently only exists on a view on the project level, it will also exist on a global view where you will be able to see all of the timelines across all of your projects. Maybe you're triple booked for installs. Staging environment. Maybe you're triple booked for installs. No bueno, no good. You're going to want to go ahead and make sure that everything is kind of lining up. So I only have one timeline here, but what you're able to see here is the timeline across all of your different projects on one calendar view. And you can always change that from calendar to Gantt. This is the Gantt view that we know. If you had additional stages in different projects, you'll be able to see them underneath. But this is coming in about 3 weeks, I believe.
Yes, in 3 weeks' time. And by the way, just hi, I'm back. By the way, just about the timeline and how important it is to share it on a client dashboard, just like all the phone calls that you're getting about when is this happening and when is that going to happen and when did you say we're starting installation of the flooring? They'll have that on the timeline that you share on your project dashboard. It's work for the first time, and then you're saving literally hours fielding annoying clients' phone calls.
Thank you. Yes, I can't believe you're still online. It's so late for you. Awesome. That's really, really great. And the last thing that I want to talk about here with the calendar view is that you will be able to integrate this calendar into your personal calendar. So it's actually different. We're working towards unifying the calendar sync for your meetings and your Gantt chart. This is just going to be a separate sync that you need to set up. And it's a one-way sync from your Houzz Pro account into your personal calendar. So that's coming soon. Okay.
We do have a couple questions, Sivan, if you're ready for
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So one that we had from Tony was a cool feature would be to share this with contractors. Is that possible or is it coming?
Great question. And Gilly, I know that there's a sleeping baby on you. If you are able to speak now. If not, I will say that Gilly is working on, just as we have a team members functionality where you can invite your personal team members to Houzz Pro, Gilly is also working on the ability to collaborate with subcontractors. So he has all the information of what that will actually look like. Timeline is still probably a few months out, but we are working on it. An alternative for your contractors, if you are comfortable sharing the rest of your details, the project details, you can always send them the link to the project dashboard because that is a unique link to that project. So the client dashboard that we were just in over here, I'll go over here to share. You can always go to get dedicated link. Sorry, I need to move the Zoom thing. Link, copy this link. You could share it with your contractor and then they can access all this. The only downside there, and again, depends on your personal relationship with your contractor, is that they'll be able to see everything that you're sending to your client. So it's not ideal, but we are introducing a subcontractor functionality. And Gilly just texted me, he still has a sleeping baby on his arms. He can't speak, but we do have the subcontractors coming soon.
Cool. And then one other question, if we were to make changes, say on this Gantt chart or the schedule shifted, would it email the client to let them know?
No, you would have to proactively let them know about that. So my recommendation would be to send them a message because things can change all the time. They will only get emails about things that you're proactively sending to them, like estimates, payment requests, change orders, and these messages. So you could say over here under the messages tab, sorry, actually in your own project view, you could say in the messages tab, hi, just updated the timeline. Take a look when you have a moment. Love you. Send. And then they'll be able to access it on their client dashboard.
Perfect.
Okay. Awesome. For those final warriors, I know we're about halfway through capacity and I know that we are over time already. If you have the brain power to ask any questions, ask them now, okay? Like while we're all here. Obviously, you can always reach us, CSMs, after the fact, but it's just so convenient that we're all here right now. I see some chats coming through. Yes, Ellen, I think I answered this earlier. Ellen asked, can I add a non-Houzz generated lead to the estimation process? Absolutely. You can just create a project. You can create a client. You can create a project. You can create a lead. Everything is tailorable to what you need. So if you're already in process, if this is not necessarily a lead, but you're already working on a project, all you would need to do here is click create new project and then enter in your client details. So project name, client details. If you have a client already uploaded to Houzz, you can select them from here. If not, you'll simply click create new client, enter in the relevant details, and then you can start collaborating. Absolutely. It's not just specific to leads that you've acquired through Houzz. This is meant to be personalized for ongoing projects that you have or ongoing relationships that you have that you want to start collaborating with. Cool. Please reshow how to make the stages depend upon each other again. Happily, GB General Carey. I'm going to show you that right now. So when I go into my timeline, again, I'm on production. All you need to do here is actually select the stages. And then when you move them over, you'll see that they move in unison with one another. Okay, some good questions. April, did I miss the mood board talk? We didn't get to the mood board talk. It was time permitting, whether we got into visual tools. We do have a couple different resources for you in our help center and our learn center about mood boards. You're always also welcome to send any questions that you may have to your CSM. I do recommend searching through our help center. Once again, if I come over here and I just look at mood, I'm just going to look up one word. And I'll be able to see everything you do on the mood boards toolbar and editing images on mood boards. Just to get you started, you'll see over here some resources. Brain meltedly, totally. And then Joel said, if you archive the estimate after it was sent, can the client still get to it? It was still showing the messages, or does the link die? That's a really great question. I believe that when you archive a document, the link actually is no longer valid. Helena, if you're still on, that would be a question for you. It may be nighttime for Helena. She might be sleeping. No, she's still on. She may just
What
be
was the question?
The question was, if you archive a document after you've sent it to the client, does the link actually change? The link becomes invalid, is my understanding.
Yes, correct.
Okay, the link becomes invalid. So even though they may have seen it in the messages still, the link is invalid. They're not able to access anything that you have archived. So with that, I know we've all been talking your ears off today. Thank you guys so much for staying tuned. A special thank you to Risa for organizing this whole thing. Chloe for your brilliance as always. Liza, Helena, Gilly, thank you guys all so much. We are so excited by the turnout that this is definitely something that we want to continue doing on a more regular cadence, on a more regular basis, for your team members who are new to Houzz Pro, or just for you to get a refresher, because we know that you love seeing our faces. So Risa, I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add to that.
Yeah. Thank you, and to all of you for being here today. Like Sivan said, you are what drives us, and we want to hear your feedback, and we want to continue building out our products for you guys top of mind so that you can win more clients and run an efficient and profitable business and make more money. So that is our goal. Anything we can do, I'll make sure that you have our contact information. I know Chloe's dropped her information down here. Please let us know. Please respond to the survey that we're going to be sending. We can only make this better with your help. So I know everybody's busy, but if you take 2 minutes to respond to the survey I'll send out tomorrow, then I promise in return that I will work very diligently to get you this recording, which takes hours and days to download since it's over 4 hours. So be patient with me on that. But again, thank you so much for being here with us today. And we look forward to working with you and eventually meeting you one day in person in the future. All right, guys. Any other questions here? No? Good. All right. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.